Show. Max Kellerman Show on ESPN Radio.
The Max Kellerman Show on ESPN Radio, ESPN News, the ESPN app, and SiriusXM Channel 80, and on your smart speaker. Reach me at 888-SAY-ESPN. That's 888-729-3776. The Max Kellerman Show is presented by Progressive Insurance. All guests join me on the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line. Be a part of Max Kellerman Nation on the Dr. Pepper call-in line. 888-SAY-ESPN. ESPN Nation is presented by Dr. Pepper. It's official. College football's back, and so is your favorite Dr. Pepper-loving college football town, Fansville. Head to a store near you to treat your inner college football fan to an ice-cold 20-ounce Dr. Pepper today. But first, it's time for Straight Talk, brought to you by Straight Talk Wireless. Raj, I would love return on my video monitor because that's not what I'm seeing right now.
Oh.
That's the first thing. That's how we start Straight Talk.
Yeah.
But I need to announce something now. We're going to have a little informal press conference because that's what happens after the head coach of a football team expected to win finds themselves on the wrong end of a call. I just want to say that when DK Metcalf broke that run, that was about altogether in DraftKings. That had to be DK is for DraftKings, by the way. Is a DraftKings Metcalf was picked me up about 11 fantasy points on that run, right? At least 10, because you got the yard, the catch, the yards after the catch, and then the touchdown.
That's a lot of points there. Huge play.
A lot of points, and I was about 7 or 8 points behind Raj in DraftKings, and I won. I won DraftKings again. I won last week, and I won again. And because we don't have a ton of guys in our league, what is it? Six guys in the league now? 6 players, so there's no second place. It's a $10 buy-in, $54 big dollars on the line on a weekly basis.
Smackaroos.
I was $54
yes,
richer.
You were.
And by the way, $54 is nice, but the main thing was it was Rogers and Bill Wolf and Nick Tutz and Ben Lyons. Who am I leaving out? Someone else. Steve Mason's money. Oh, that Mason money. It's even better. That movie theater money. By the way, his movie theater must be not doing so great right now, I imagine. It was the wrong time to buy into movie theaters. Mace is like the guy who put in money into like what was Blockbuster right before video on demand came out. But anyway, I love taking your guys' money, but instead, Raj is sitting there like the cat who ate the canary because they took away my rightful win on a borderline holding call. That's not even the biggest news. Listen, that was a tremendous game. I'm going to get into it. But the biggest news over the weekend, and there's a ton of it, is Antonio Brown going to sign in with the Bucs. Looked like he was heading to Seattle. The rich get richer. You have to hand it to Tom Brady. He put himself in the best possible position to succeed and left Bill Belichick with the cupboard bare. Not only did all the defections off the team because of COVID, or all the opt-outs because of COVID, but there was go back a couple years. It's not that Belichick looked at Garoppolo and said he's better than Tom Brady. It's that Belichick looked at Garoppolo and said he's so much younger than Tom Brady, and he could do what I need him to do, so that we won't miss a beat. We'll have continuity. He's held the clipboard for a couple years, and he's ready. Brady can go off, and I'll have this guy, and there's a succession plan, and because of that, we won't miss a beat. But instead, Tom Brady did an end around the GM and coach and went to the owner and said, get Garoppolo shipped out of town, which is what Robert Kraft did. So Belichick was left with no continuity on the team. And Brady, meantime, goes to Tampa with Godwin and Evans and O.J. Howard and Brate and a defense and a coach and an offensive coordinator. And he brings Gronk with him. Tampa, a team that won 9 games with a quarterback that threw 30 interceptions to the tune of 112 points to the opposing defense. Where you just replace Jameis with a competent quarterback, you get 9 wins. Anything over competent gets you 10-plus wins. So Brady knew. He looked at that and said, I'm going to win at least 10 games with this team. Belichick, meantime, Without a quarterback, what was he going to do? Now, he grabbed Cam Newton. Lucky that Cam was available. But Cam is not a similar quarterback to Brady, and Cam has no continuity. Like, he wasn't playing with the Patriots. Brady set himself up to look great. But even then, to then have Antonio Brown join the show, and before AB even gets on the field for you, you're sitting at 5-2? Like, I got to hand it to Brady. All the, like, leadership things and da-da-da, that does apply to him. It applies to him. When they made all those mental errors and they were getting penalized and they kept taking penalties because the offensive line was on the offsides and all kinds of stuff, you knew they were not going to make mental. And remember, Brady chews out his O-line and then holds up 4. He thinks it's fourth down when the game was really over. That was mental error from Brady, and especially bad because he's chewing out his O-line for making mental errors. The next week, you knew one thing was going to happen. There were going to be mental errors on a Brady team. And there weren't. And they won. They played like a perfect game. And just now against the Raiders, came with it. It's real leadership quality from Brady. Of course the weapons around him cover up his age a bit. Of course he's in decline. Brady was elite until a couple of years ago. And over the last couple seasons, he was game manager, big on third down, riding a defense. And year over year, it was getting worse and worse. But he put himself in a position where you almost can't fail. That doesn't mean he's not succeeding beyond what I expected. I would say I looked at this team and thought 10 wins. He looks like he might win 12. But obviously, the weapons cover up some decline. I mean, can you think of how many quarterbacks in Brady's situation you pencil in for 10 wins on this Bucs team? Remember when Ryan Fitzpatrick took over from Jameis a couple years ago? It was like, oh my God, they're putting up 40 points a game early. It's like, Jameis, can you just be competent? If you're competent, you're going to be a killer. But Fitzpatrick is what he is. He's hot and cold, and he also not great with ball security. Just get a game manager big on third down that's going to give you ball security on that team, 10 wins. Certainly 9. And Brady is better than that. I will hand it to him. And meantime, Bill Belichick, 2-4. Look, this is there are explanations, but no excuses. They lost a close one to Seattle. They lost, they were unfortunate not to have Cam and to have calls go against them against the Chiefs. But when Brady was with the Patriots, in those kind of games, they would win. And part of it is continuity. Like Garoppolo comes to town and they get the brakes beat off him, and Garoppolo looks good. That's why Belichick wanted him. So part of it's that Brady left the cupboard bare, and in the is it Belichick or Brady argument, Brady kind of outsmarted Belichick. He outmaneuvered him to put himself in the best possible position, the best light, and Belichick in the worst. Nevertheless, tough. Those are the circumstances. Now, what you going to do? Tomlin didn't have Roethlisberger last year, went 500. In the same division with the Ravens, who almost never lose, he went 500. Belichick doesn't have his quarterback, doesn't have continuity. No excuses. You got to win games, period. And now they got the Bills coming up. I go evidence-based. I don't have a fundamentally religious view about these things. I have a fundamentally scientific view. What does that mean? That means that I don't start with an undisprovable hypothesis. A religious point of view, you start with an undisprovable hypothesis, meaning, I believe this. No lack of evidence will get me to change my mind, and no evidence to the contrary will get me to change my mind. You can't disprove what I believe. And a lot of people in sports media have that basic point of view. It's useful in sports media. But I have a basically scientific, outlook, meaning I have a hypothesis. It can be disproven. I thought Brady was going to fall off a cliff because no quarterback past a certain age had ever not fallen off the cliff. And by falling off a cliff, I mean, oh my God, he can do this until he's 50. All of a sudden, Like Wile E. Coyote, he's still suspended in midair because he doesn't know that there's no more ground underneath him, and all of a sudden he looks down, holds up the sign, and plummets straight down. That's right. Brady is in decline. Like, I understand the Bucs offense, everything, and the defense too is masking that a bit. He is in decline, but it is a gradual decline. It is not a cliff. And by the way, when I said that about Brady, I said the same, like Brett Favre, he can do this till he's 50. He was 40. He threw over 4,000 yards when that meant something for the Vikings, stayed in the division, won 12 games, and was called incorrectly at the time by many. He's the greatest of all time. Never was. He never was. I've been saying Brady's the GOAT since 07. Since 07, it says the best of all, or the greatest of all time. 13 years I've been saying that. I get it. But just like Favre, off the cliff, Peyton Manning, 37 years old, sets the touchdown record, 55 touchdowns. Follows that up at 38 with 39 touchdowns and a 12-4 record, just like Favre. Peyton can do this till he's 50 years old. He can just keep going. There's no end in sight. I used to argue this with people, like against this. Like, guys, Favre fell off the cliff. Everyone falls off the cliff. The next year, and Peyton won the Super Bowl, but he did it off the cliff. Like, he really wasn't good his last year. Had a great defense, and he was veteran enough not to screw it up. Like, Osweiler could screw it up. They put Peyton in. He won the Super Bowl. But was he the same guy? Obviously, he went from 39 touchdowns, 4,200 yards, 12-4 record. Oh, my God, he'll do this forever. Hold on, I tried to whistle. Right? So that's what I was expecting for Brady. Didn't happen. Brady has been in gradual decline, and with the weapons around him now, you can't really tell. That was Straight Talk. Straight Talk Wireless, everything for less only at Walmart. Cam gets benched in a Pats loss and says he has to play this game coming up, like his job is on the line. And the fact that it happened against a Garoppolo-led team, that's brutal. I mean, by the way, when do the Patriots ever lose like that? That's what I give Brady credit for. Patriots didn't lose like that with Brady under center. He kept them competitive. Now, Belichick's been raving about Cam's competitiveness, but let's see it now. Cam Newton on his confidence and mindset with the questions.
I don't know. But I can't, one thing that can't happen is I can't allow myself to, feel sorry for myself. I know what the issue is, and, you just have to attack it and do better.
So you know what the issue is. What is the issue?
Me not playing good.
Is there something leading to that?
It's simple. Play better.
Well, look, if you throw the ball 15 times, 3 of those throws can't be interceptions, period. You're throwing an interception every 5 passes. No good. And he's better than this. And he's shown it this year that he's better than this. But, again, lack of continuity. Look, he didn't have receivers just like Brady didn't have receivers last year. Only this year it's even worse because Edelman's a year older. And he hasn't spent all this time with Edelman, right? And there's no Gronk. Like, as bad as Brady had it last year, Cam has it worse, much worse, considering his lack of experience with these guys. And yet, earlier in the season, he had it going on. He looked great against Seattle. He didn't look good against Seattle. He looked great against Seattle. So it's in there. And this is on Cam. Now, I know he got COVID, and who knows what the after effects are. You hear all kinds of wild stuff, anecdotal, and yet not isolated. Like, you hear about someone gets COVID and they're 30, 40 years old and they wind up with glaucoma. They get COVID and they have weird pain in their feet. Like, they get COVID and then there are these lingering after effects. We just don't know a lot about it. Cam Newton had COVID. We don't know what's going on with him. We just don't know. It's unknown. It's possible he's still not 100%. And yet, all the excuses, it doesn't mean anything for Cam or for Belichick. The fact that Brady got Garoppolo shipped out of town so there was no succession plan, and then Brady left him high and dry for Tampa. The fact that 9 guys on the defense opted out of the season because of COVID. The fact that Cam has no continuity, has not even the same receivers Brady had last year, a worse group because Edelman's a year older and Gronk isn't even there. And Cam has no continuity with the group. And Cam got sick. And the Patriots haven't been able to practice. These are all true in their explanations. But they're not excuses. Got to get it done. 888-SAY-ESPN. Steelers still undefeated. What a sports weekend. By the way, the wild finish of the World Series, Game 4. Forget about Game 5. I'm going to get to Clayton Kershaw later. But, I'm not going to wind up talking much about the wild finish in Game 4 today. There's too much stuff since then. That was already Saturday night. Remember when there were no sports? That was already Saturday night. That was an eon ago. When a million things happened. That game was so epic, Game 4. You could do a whole week of radio shows just dissecting that game. I'm barely going to talk about it. Didn't that feel like all the wind came out of the Dodgers' sails? They were fated to lose. But I will get into that as it relates to Kershaw. So there was that. There was a great boxing match, a great one, between Quadras and Estrada, two guys most of you have never heard of, but they're great tiny weight fighters in a golden era of 115, 112, 115, 118 pounders. And they staged a classic. And then Nurmagomedov beats Gaethje clean, dominates, retires right after the fight. That's just combat sports. So baseball, combat sports, and then football. We talked about Patriots. We talked about the Bucs. Then there was the Steelers and Titans. Know what the difference in that game was? Because the Steelers jumped out to a big lead. And as I said, that run defense was going to try to neutralize Derrick Henry. And listen, if you stack the box and you just have a great run defense, you can stop a great back if you devote all your resources there. And they're going to dare Tannehill to beat him. And they jump out to a big lead and dare Tannehill. Tannehill was doing great at the end. Tannehill's really good. I'll take Tannehill over Roethlisberger right now. It wasn't that Tannehill couldn't get it done or that Roethlisberger's better or that the Steelers lost concentration or whatever. Roethlisberger was not great, and he turned the ball over really too much and when they didn't need him to at all. But the difference in that game, really, it came down to two undefeated teams going head-to-head in an old-school smash-mouth football game. What it came down to, and I love this kind of game, fastball pitcher versus fastball hitter. One team wants to run with its dominant back. The other team stops the run. What's going to win? One of the greatest commercials I've ever seen, going back, 10 years. Remember when LaDainian Tomlinson and Troy Polamalu, what commercial was that? When they're kids, you see them from the time they're kids, and they're both running, but in toward each other, right? One's running screen right to left, the other left to right. And as they're getting older, they're constantly running in that direction until they meet in the NFL. The great running back and the hard-hitting safety with a head-on collision. Love that. Steelers run defense versus Titans running game. Love that matchup, but that's not what decided the game. Neither the run defense nor the running back. Nor was it Tannehill who decided the game. Tannehill, Roethlisberger. Tannehill's good play in the second half. Roethlisberger's, interceptions. What decided that game was special teams. One team, the Steelers, both, you got to be sound in the kicking game, right? One team, both punting and field goal kicking, was superior to the other team, and they won. Simple as that. The team that couldn't hit the field goal when they needed to, lost. The team that could, that punted in such a way as to improve their field position, that kicked field goals when they needed to, won. That was the difference in the game. And you know what that speaks to? Because Vrabel's an excellent coach. Mike Tomlin, even better. Mike Tomlin. It's offense, defense, and special teams. Steelers football, run the ball, stop the run, right? But now you got Claypool, and you got Juju Smith-Schuster, and you got Roethlisberger back, and It's more than that. It's, what is it? What's the old saying? You got to be better in 2 of the 3 areas. Offense, defense, special teams. Be better in 2 of them. The Steelers were. The tiebreaker was special teams, really. The Steelers were better. They win the game. And when it comes down to it, I thought the Patriots would be the biggest challenge to the Chiefs this year in the AFC. But when it comes down to it, it may be the Steelers. Look, the bottom line is the Patriots are 2-4. And the bottom line is the Ravens have yet to win a playoff game with Lamar Jackson. But the Steelers' defense is for real. They have actual offensive weapons on the team. They have a quarterback who we've seen get it done in the past. And by the way, he's still getting his legs under him, Roethlisberger. You know, you got to cut him some slack right now. He just got back off a catastrophic injury. You know, the team has turnover. I wouldn't judge him yet. It's wild how it works in football because of the record. It's like, is Roethlisberger in the MVP conversation? But at the same time, it's like he hadn't really played that well. But when it comes down to it, the Steelers as a total package might be the biggest threat to the Chiefs in the AFC, especially when you see how the Chiefs are winning. Remember, we had Casey Joyner, the football scientist, on, talking about the Chiefs don't do well in shootouts. They win more than they lose. But in non-shootout games, they almost never lose. And in shootout games, they're just a little bit above 500. So if you want to run the ball, good luck against the Steelers, which makes it a shootout, right? The Chiefs should beat the Steelers in a shootout. But again, if you're 5-4 in shootouts, the Steelers have chances with Roethlisberger and Claypool and Juju Smith-Schuster. Max Kellerman Show, presented by Progressive Insurance. Small business protection just got easier with more than 30 coverage options available. Progressive has you covered. More at progressivecommercial.com. Dodgers get themselves off the mat to win Game 5. Did Clayton Kershaw exercise his demons or not yet? Last week is in the books. Now it's time to review the tape and prepare for this week. And there's no better place to get in on all the action than...
Pretty good. There's not too many times you're going to connect on 100 miles an hour right in the middle of the barrel.
Shift on with 3 on the right side, and they're going to try to steal home, but he's thrown out. Margot was able to get a huge break down the line, and he just tried a straight steal of home.
Dave Roberts so close to getting that trophy. That's something that has eluded them over the last 4 years.
Yo, ESPN News, the ESPN app. At SiriusXM Channel 80 and on your smart speaker. Reach me at 888-SAY-ESPN, 888-729-3776. The Max Kellerman Show is presented by Progressive Insurance. All guests join me on the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line for a chance to win $10,000 plus a virtual meet and greet with the Dan Le Batard Show. Gang, text Le Batard to 77333. Advance your auto at Advance Auto Parts. Limit 1 entry per day. See advanceautoparts.com for details. Apropos of nothing, you know who's awesome? DeAndre Hopkins. Boy, that guy's excellent. Anyway, he is. Everyone has to admit that. Wouldn't you say, Raj? Can't hear you, Raj. No, I still can't hear you. He's just nodding.
Loves muting himself.
Yes, I said that. He got me my DraftKings win. So, yes, I would say he's awesome. Thank you, DeAndre.
Yeah, I hate him for that, but, yeah, the guy is excellent. Know who else was excellent? Clayton Kershaw. Like, I get it. 5 2/3. 5 and dive. But that's the game nowadays. Very few guys. And by the way, it's 5 2/3, almost 6. And Dave Roberts yanked him maybe a little early, but Dave Roberts, damned if he does, damned if he doesn't, right? If he leaves them in and he gives up some runs, oh, you see? This is where managers actually earn their money, and there's no way to know if they're right. You can't prove a counterfactual, something that never happened. But it's really like, as many times as we've said, Kershaw pitches 6 great innings. Then you then you just keep letting him pitch. That's the problem. I know it's 5 2/3 here, but still, if he gives up the runs, why didn't you take him out? And if you take him out and he wins, good. But if you would have lost, Dave Roberts probably gets fired. You know how big that performance was? Let me explain something. The way the Dodgers lost Saturday night, I've never seen an ending to a game like that. There were so many reversals of fortune in a pivotal Game 4. In Game 4, when it's 2-1, in any Game 4 ever played that's not a closeout game, this goes for every Game 4 ever played that's not a closeout game. Either the series is over or it's any one series. One team's about to go up 3-1, and come on. Here and there, a team comes back, but almost never. Or it's 2-2 in any one series, particularly without home field, without travel and home field. So it's about to be 3-1 Dodgers, Game 4. And 3 different reversals of fortune in that last play. A normally great defensive outfielder botches the play, but then recovers and throws home, and like everything from the swipe to losing the ball to stopping, and the base runner stops and then keeps going. It's unbelievable how that game ended. But the way it ended, a lot of people felt like that took the wind out of the Dodgers' sails. It's over now. 888-SAY-ESPN. So what does a stopper do in baseball? That the stopper is off a loss. Can you come and give what your team needs, especially when they need it most? Clayton Kershaw, who won Game 1, 6 innings, 1 run, great game. Nowadays, 6 innings, 1 run, and 8 strikeouts is a great game. Gave him enough to win the next time he took the mound, and did it under circumstances where it just felt like the Dodgers were fated to lose, at that point. That's what a stopper does. I'm so happy for him that I don't have to come out here and kill him today, Thank God, by the way, Manny Margot were showing that attempted steal of home where he just got tagged out. Margot's such an interesting pickup for Tampa Bay. Like, he's a good defensive outfielder, but he's not like the best I've ever seen. And he doesn't hit enough to play the corners, and yet you play him in the corners sometimes, right? Like, somehow Tampa must have dug into those analytics, and there's something they found deep down on Manny Margot that was like, yep, this guy helped us get to the World Series. But anyway, here's Clayton Kershaw on the feeling of playoff success, especially World Series
anytime
success.
you can have success in the postseason, it just means so much. That's what you work for. That's what you play for this month. And, I know what the other end of that feels like too. So I'll definitely take it when I can get it.
I like that attitude. He doesn't run from the fact that he's botched it big time also in the playoffs. He doesn't deny that reality. He's just like, look, I've been on both ends of this. And I know for those who would be like, no, Kershaw's won more than he's lost. Don't tell me that. His performance regular season is arguably, and you have a good argument, the greatest that ever was. And when they've needed him most, he's been much less than that. But not these playoffs. Oh, if the Dodgers could win this World Series and Clayton has 2 games like the 2 he pitched. Only thing better is if he could somehow come in relief in a Game 7, 2 wins and a relief appearance where he shuts guys, leaves runners on base in the bottom of the 9th inning or whatever, Clayton Kershaw was making moves last night, going 5 2/3, 5 hits, 2 runs, 2 walks, 6 Ks, and a win for the Dodgers.
Making Moves is brought to you by Making Moves is brought to you by LinkedIn Jobs. Build your winning team today. Go to linkedin.com/sports.
Former MVP about to get benched. No doubt coming up. The Max Kellerman Show is brought to you, I will take phone calls in a very little while, by Shell V-Power Nitro Plus Premium Gasoline.
We're back on Tuesday recapping the Bears.
The Max Kellerman Show on ESPN Radio, ESPN News, the ESPN app, and SiriusXM Channel 80, and on your smart speaker. Reach me at 888-SAY-ESPN, 888-729-3776. Let me do that again. 3776. See, that's how you say ESPN in numbers on the keypad there, Raj. 3776 spells out ESPN.
Okay.
888-SAY-ESPN, Raj, is 729-3776. Do you understand?
I get it
that?
now. I'm looking at the
I know it's a
pads.
mystery to you. Why did I say it 2 different ways? That's why. No Doubt is brought to you by My Computer Career, training for a better life. I'm going to get right down to it.
We got you covered.
Let me tell you what I think it means.
No doubt.
All right, Max, let's listen to the coach of my Dallas Cowboys. I miss you, Jason Garrett, but Mike McCarthy. Let's hear Mike McCarthy.
Disappointing loss, disappointing division loss. I've stood in front of this camera too many times this year and spoke about the basics that we just haven't put together yet.
Mike McCarthy, if he even makes it to the end of the season, will be one and done in Dallas.
No doubt. And the reason I can say no doubt is if he even makes it to the end of the season. Or I can't say no doubt. That's right. This was an awful hire. I said at the time, Jerry Jones is only hiring someone that he can push around or who won't get credit if they win. It's not the right coach for the job. And the most hilarious thing I heard was Kim Jones, used to do like Yankee stuff for Yes and everything, was talking the Cowboys. I saw this on social media. And she said, Mike McCarthy has analytics that suggest that if you have 4 divisional wins, you're more likely to win the division. Like, think about this. He passed himself. Oh, I understand the analytics now. Oh, really? Coach, you don't say. You mean since you have 6 divisional games, 3 would mean you win half of them. But if you win more than half, it increases your chance to win the division. I'm going to go out on a limb and say if you have 5 wins, it increases it even more. And Raj, let's not get ahead of ourselves. But could you imagine if you had 6 wins in the division?
Ooh. All right. Next one. Hey, we saw what happened Sunday, but the Patriots need to bench Cam Newton going forward.
Nah, son. Cam Newton's your only chance. You got to get Cam right. And I've seen him right this year, and he looked like a great quarterback to me early in the season. I go to that Seattle game, which was the best game I've seen, the best football game in terms of the level of play that I've seen play in a long time, and the most enjoyable to me was that Patriots-Seahawks game. I thought Cam looked crisp in that game. So he has it in him. You know, if he's recovering from an illness, then let him recover. But in terms of, like, can he do it? I've seen him do it.
All right, fair enough. Now, we saw it Saturday. We saw him pipe, but Habib will come back out of retirement.
No doubt. And because he's young and there's a long road ahead. And whatever, like his dad not being there with him now and all that stuff, it's meaningful to him now. But in life, as he goes forward, he will, new things will emerge. And he may feel like he wants to get back in there for other reasons. Maybe he may feel it's something his father would have wanted. Or he has a child who he wants to have that same relationship. Whatever it is, there's a long road ahead, you would hope, for Habib in life. And I think that he's so young that there's a good chance that he eventually comes back.
All right, check it out. Pat Sajak turned 74 today. I didn't know if you knew that. Now, Sajak is the GOAT of game show hosts.
Wow.
It's a tough one.
Well, I'll tell you who it's not. It's not Chuck Woolery, that's for sure. No, I got to say it's not Pat Sajak either. It's Alex Trebek. Son. Answer. Alex Trebek, but happy birthday to Pat Sajak.
74. And last one here, Odell Beckham has played his last game ever for the Browns. As you know, if you didn't hear the news earlier, he's out for the year with the knee injury for those just tuning in.
Oh, I'm quite aware. No doubt. He's done with that team. He and Baker had no chemistry. In fact, when he went out of the game, Baker started balling. It's not that that one or the other's a bad guy, I don't think. It's just that they don't have chemistry. And so a catastrophic injury like this generally takes a year to come back from, and then another year to get right from. So I would say that he's back really on the field middle end of 2021. Figure 2022 is his first full season. But I think it will take that year to get him back to where he needs to his best, and that'll be 2023 if he can stay healthy. At that point, he'll be 30 years old. And he can still be great and get in the Hall of Fame one day, but his margin for error, that window, has shrunk considerably. 888-SAY-ESPN. Alex in Pennsylvania. You're on the Max Kellerman Show, ESPN Radio.
Hi, Max.
Hi, Alex.
Hi. I love your show.
Thank you.
It's I don't know, you, Stephen A. Orlowski. Oh my God, it's I don't know. I'm just talking. I have a goosebumps. It's
very good.
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad you love the show. Do you have something? Do you have some sports comment you'd like to make or question you'd like to ask?
Yes, I want to ask you about the NFC East, and I'm diehard Eagles fan. I'm 20 years citizen USA, and then become a citizen 20 years. And 20 years, I'm a Eagles fan. And it's unbelievable what is going on in the NFC East. And I think Carson Wentz deserves some credit. Some credit.
By the way, I give Wentz some credit. My point, the reason I'm hard on Wentz is because he's so talented. Carson Wentz has top 5 talent, and he's being paid that way. And yet he gives you middle-of-the-pack production. So, it's not Baker Mayfield, where I'm like, yeah, Baker could do a little better if he, gets it right and all that. But I'm like, nah, he ain't going to be elite. I look at Carson Wentz, I think he should be elite. By the way, real Eagles fans know what I'm talking about. If you're really an Eagles fan, you're looking at Wentz like, come on, dude. We see that one throw a game you make that's unbelievable, but we also see all the bad decisions. Knock it off. News from Max Kellerman Nation. Alex just hit us up on the Dr. Pepper call-in line to talk Carson Wentz. Alex calling from Pennsylvania. It's not Pennsylvania anymore, is it? See, this is what I'm talking about. Raj, I keep threatening to take more calls. I'm going to. Brady or Belichick? Did we get an answer on who made whom? On who made whom, Raj? The dative. Max Kellerman Show. Be right back, ESPN Radio.
The new ESPN app, now with ESPN Plus. Baseball, hockey, soccer, and college football. You want more? I hope so. Because with Plus, you get new films, shows, and docs. The new ESPN app. Download now and sign up for ESPN Plus today.